What, in your idea, is hip hop's capability for social change?
Well, if you want to see the power of hip hop culture's potential for social change, don't look here in America. Go other places. I've traveled literally from India around the world the other way back to Thailand, and I've studied hip hop in an international context, and I've seen little Thai kids walking around, sagging and trying to emulate what they see from hip hop culture, hip hop artists in the United States. I see the same thing in Spain. In Spain, I was in the middle of in Madrid in a park, and literally kids pulled out a boombox, a legitimate boombox, and did an old school circle with breaking and rap. It was like complete. It was like in a time warp. So when you see that internationally, the fact that France in the early '80s changed their laws regarding English-speaking songs on their radio stations because they didn't want to have the influx of hip-hop artists from the United States dominate the airways. What happened with the French artists? They began rapping in French, and that's why you hear little English coming out of France, hip-hop artists. You go to Germany and other places and the same thing. So hip-hop has the possibility of changing the law, literally, in some places. And we desperately need that change. If Snoop Dogg were to pull up out here on this sidewalk right now, he'd have a crowd around him before you could say Jim Crow. Mm-hmm. But if you asked him to talk about Jim Crow, he'd say Jim who?
Yeah. With that question, I kind of feel mixed. I feel like on one end, it's not an element of social change because of the stereotypes associated with it. And if a majority of people live off of a stereotype, then it's not going to have any progression. Now, on the other end, kind of underground people that work in the communities or that work with the youth that are hip-hop artists of some sort, I believe that they are actively changing society. So it goes both ways, if the positive keeps working, then yes, it will be an element of social change. If the negative keeps working, then it won't. But it's up to us.
We're changing stereotypes with this. I mean, adolescents are constantly looked at in a negative way, and also people that practice hip-hop. And when we go out and we show positivity through hip-hop, it's changing all these stereotypes that surround it. We're changing the stereotypes of adolescents and anyone involved in hip-hop. And so it changes people's ideals, and it changes stereotypes associated with it all the time.
As long as people remember that these elements motivate people, the funk makes you move your butt, that's something to work with. The lyrics help you see the inside of a black man's soul and the inside of a white guy's soul who lived in a trailer park. That's something to work with. I think it could stop wars. No, I don't know how many of us have really stopped and thought about that, but I heard this really interesting quote on this dude was talking about what returning soldiers are going to contribute to artistic America. And he's like, we don't know what those soldiers coming back from Iraq and Afghanistan are going to write heavy metal songs about or write their raps about. And I was like, dang, that's true. Them dudes are kids. They are going to come back and start bands and go to college and write papers and blog and write raps and freaking, we have no idea.
It's a difficult question. I'd say the same way that any music could ever change anybody is the same way that hip-hop could change anybody. I'd say the way that a speech can change people or a person is the same way that hip-hop can change people or a person. I would say any way that art affects people or changes people, hip-hop's able to do that.
For my experience in particular, it's brought social change in the way of accessibility, not only for people to see me and talk to me, but for me to see them and talk to them as well, and kind of use my talent as a bridge to kind of show them a different aspect of music and expression, and then having that space to then open up and be completely, I guess, accepting of who they are also. And for me, that in itself is social change, because people then can feel like their voice is valid and the things that they want to do and say are valid, even if they're not the most pleasant things at first. I think that everybody needs to start somewhere and can cultivate what maybe is an angry state of mind into something that is truly empowering.
To me, hip-hop is always going to represent change and expression of unheard voices that comes out in this amazing way, this unexpected way, whether it be jazz, blues, hip-hop, reggae. It's the voice of change.
If I rule the world, I free all my sons, black diamonds and pearls. If I rule the world,
if I rule the world, I touch all cold-hearted politicians with the heat from the beats of DJs and pen peace to release these heat waves. He waves
as if Mr. America realized,
and Miss America's fake smiles may save us from the unintentional tension that creates a hate crime. And hate crimes we do. Modern-day minorities hate the hate crime, but at the same time hate the fact that if it ain't a hate crime, eyes of justice turn to the hated. Let me restate it.
Like, what he's saying is, plainly stated, in every history book with their withholding information and whitewash framing, me and my kind are the hated. You only love us when we're entertaining. So we open mouths to expose souls. Modern day minstrels playing the sold out shows, spitting these poems with sold out souls.